My name is Joshua, and I am the Tribune. I want to talk to people who want to work with God in such a way that it shakes the entire earth. Now, in order to shake the entire earth, you're going to have to do something that's way, way, way more powerful than anybody else that is working on the earth. That's the only way you can do it. So today, I'm going to talk about how God trains you for this. One of the big ways that is very confusing if you don't have revelation on it. Now, you can find many messages all over the internet and probably at your church or anywhere else that talks about how God will set up the promotions for you and give you connections and favor and all these things. But there's one part of God's character that nobody talks about because it's a very scary thing, for one, and two, very few people experience this side of his character. But in this coming era, there are so many people who are going to experience this side of his character, and they need to be prepared for it. So, what God will do when he's going to do something very mighty in your life is he will set up impossible situations that will lead you to an impossible place that you actually could never have gotten on your own. This is something that you could even pray for, and he decides, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use what this person wants to show them how powerful I am. Now, when I'm talking about what you want, the first thing that must be done, that you first have to really understand, is he's going to use something that is impossible to you, that you step out and have faith and ask for. This is what he's going to ask. He's not going to ask for something that is not impossible, because then it defeats the entire purpose of what this plan is of training for you. So he will allow you to think your highest thought. You will ask something so insane, and he will bring you all the way to where you've asked. It could be a meeting. It could be a situation. It could be a certain level of creativity. There's so many ways that this could come. He will give you impossible steps to get to this place, give you favor with people that you would never even dream of even ever meeting, give you favor in certain situations that it's impossible that it would ever work out for you. He will have people tell you no and then reverse it that in 5 minutes, and they'll say yes. People who are very powerful, who don't even like you. And they will be used to move you forward to this thing that you've asked him for. But then the thing is, when you get to that place where you think, this is actually God, it's impossible that God didn't do this. I know nobody can convince me otherwise. And I'm here at this place right now. And this is going to work how I prayed and think it's going to work. The moment you're at that point, and this whole process is played out, and you've seen God's unbelievable attention to detail and power and wisdom, he will allow it not to happen for you. It will not work out. At this place, you have a decision. You can get so discouraged and operate in your emotions where you're angry, sad, frustrated, heartbroken, confused, in total despair. And you probably will go through all those emotions that I just listed. But after those emotions die away or take their course, there's something you need to know about what God just did for you. What God did for you is he proved to you how powerful and awesome he actually is. And he proved it to you with something that is actually banal to him, something that is worthless to him. The thing that you thought was so up here is worthless to him. But he used it to show you, since it mattered to you, he used it to show you his character and how he moves. He gave you a prototype. Why did he give you this prototype like this? Not to discourage you, not to trick you, not because he's not faithful, not because he's not God, and not because you might think, oh, I got to this huge place and this person just said no and just crushed everything back down to ground zero. And now, where do you go? It's not because the person had control. It's because God said no to. But you need to know why he does this. Why does he do it like this? He does it because he has something way greater for you. He has something way higher than what you thought you wanted and what you needed. And what he did was he showed you how powerful he is really. For one reason. So that you can have the faith to prepare something with him that is way more impossible than what he just brought you to. With ease. This is another thing. With total ease. Because he's going to need a certain level of faith from you. And if you think you're going to come to God and say, God, I have faith to go from zero to in charge of the greatest company in the world, for example. That's currently the greatest company in the world. You think that faith is enough. You think, oh, I just thought big. No, you thought small to God. And he says, that's nice, but Satan's children already have that. In fact, one of Satan's children is already head of that company right now. So how would that actually bring glory to God's name if you just replace that person? Or you take over and they hand you the keys? That sounds wonderful, but think about who we're dealing with. We're thinking about how God thinks. So yes, that would be wonderful. And Satan will be having his people hand over keys in this coming era, that's for sure. But that's just the beginning of it. That's not even that's not the goal of this next era that's coming. So what he will do is he wants you to think past that. That is not enough faith for what he has for you. So he has to prove that this is small to him. And how he does it is he takes you from zero, from nothing. You don't have to have any connections. You don't have to have any people. You don't have to have anything. And he will take you from that place, a nothing, just absolute zero, to Satan's palaces. The highest level. And it'll be so easy. He'll show you, I could do this. This is easy. When I went through this, I couldn't believe it. First of all, I couldn't believe how fast he did this. Got me to these places. With nothing. But then I couldn't believe that it didn't work out how I thought it should work out. That was unbelievable. Because you have to understand that when he brings you to this place, you're fully prepared to do what you need to do. And he makes sure to prepare you for it so you can actually have something really to do there so that you can feel what it's like to even prepare for a mission. And he'll bring you right to that place and then say, you're not going to do it. I have something better for you. So I couldn't believe it. I talked to everybody I possibly could to find out what happened here. I know for sure God did this, but it didn't work out. Why not? And nobody could answer me. That's the craziest part. No pastors, nobody could answer me at all. So guess who I went to? I went to God. And I said, what happened here? You and I both know that you did this. Nobody can convince me that you didn't do it. So if it didn't work, I know you could have just looked in my direction and it would have worked out easy. I mean, because the whole process proved that to me. I don't even need faith for that anymore. He's like, yeah, you don't. You need faith for my real mission. So from that place, I transformed that emotional roller coaster into absolute power with him, realizing that if he asks me to do anything, I don't care how crazy it is to prepare anything, I will do it in a heartbeat because I know how easy it is for him to do the biggest thing I could think of. Once you step into this level of faith, God is very pleased, because what it does is it opens up the door for him to really, really operate in your life how he's always planned to, which is beyond your wildest imaginations. Nobody in the world can even imagine what he's got for you. Another reason that he does this is because it builds relationship. This is actually the first reason. This is the most important reason. Because when you go through this process with God, where he is actually creating with you and moving with you, and you're watching him move in certain directions and overpass people, say, no, he doesn't want you to do this, just throw him down in the dust and you're going to move forward from him. Or, oh, she doesn't like you? I want to use her for sure. She's actually going to, even when she doesn't like you, she's going to have you move over here and she's going to introduce you to this person. And this person's not even going to know you, and then that person's going to have you go over here. And then I'm going to have a supernatural situation happen that nobody can control, not you, not them, not anything. And then I'm going to move you through that. And you're going to be the only one to move through that supernatural situation that I actually created specifically to show you how powerful I am, that I don't even need any of these people to move you forward. I can have a situation move you forward past them. But that relationship that you build with him in that process is so powerful that you will come out of it after the shock of it. You will come back into your prayer closet. You will come back into a fast, maybe with him. This could be a time to fast. And he will tell you, get ready for the greatest thing you could ever imagine, way past your imagination. And this is how we're going to prepare this. And he'll say, now you understand how I work. Now you understand I can bring you from nothing to the palace in 2 seconds. So let's prepare. And every day you know that I am what I asked you to prepare, I can do it easily. Because I gave you a prototype. My relationship with you, this is what he's saying to you. My relationship with you will be very, very strong. You will know that I'm for you, that I'm backing you. And when I back you, who can stop you? Because nobody can stop him. Another thing this does is it gives you extreme patience. This gives you extreme patience because while things after this season where he actually gives you just almost success on the highest level through impossible circumstances to get you there. You know at any time he can do anything he wants. So after this, after you go through this, you have a process of preparation to go through that only he knows the timing of. Maybe it's a few years. Maybe you're going to be in a pit with him for 5 years, preparing wonders and beautiful things with him. The reason you can do that and have patience is because you know it's very easy for him to bring you out. It's the easiest thing ever. This is another reason why he does it. It's for your own good. It makes it so that you can have peace in your heart and in your spirit and take your time and prepare his stuff right. Because if you can prepare his stuff right with patience, then it will be done to perfection how he wants it. And then when he decides to bring you out, you will be fully prepared. And you won't have any stress because you'll be at total peace in that area. So then when you're at peace in your preparation, you can actually focus on the fun stuff with God, which is, God, how do you create things? How do you think of this, putting this thing together? What is the reason for you asking me to bring these elements together to do this crazy thing that is so beautiful that if anybody saw it, it would blow their mind past anything they've ever imagined? And he will speak to you on these things. He will converse with you on these matters. But if you're impatient, you cannot hear him on these things. You can't hear him on the real good stuff. Because the whole time you're asking, when are we going to get out of this? When am I going to get out? When am I going to do this? When, why, and how? You don't need to know how, why, and when, and all these things. Why is it like this? No. This is the biggest gift he ever gives his people that he is really working with in friendship. Is he will give you the prototypes to show you how powerful he is, so you can compare it to your assignment that he's going to give you afterwards that you need to prepare for. After this happened to me, I realized I would never have been able to prepare what he asked me to prepare if I didn't go through the times where he brought me through crazy favor, through situations and people, and put me at the top of a palace and didn't let it work. And now I thank him, saying, God, thank you so much that you did not let that work. Because if I would have gone to work over here in this palace, this so-called palace, because it's not even really a palace. If you were to let that happen, you would have let me just sit in a grass field playing with dirt. Because compared to if you compare that to what he actually did have planned, I can't even compare those two. Because his stuff's way better. Now, this is another thing I want to say. God's stuff is worth waiting for. If you find yourself being so impatient that you cannot wait for what you think God is giving you, then he is not giving you that thing. He's actually giving you something way better, and you need to go back to God and ask him, God, what are you really going to give me? What do you really have planned for my life? How do you want to really use me to touch people? Maybe it's not about what God's going to give you. Maybe it's about what he's going to do through you. Maybe it's so powerful that if you were to hear God and know what he's going to do through you, then you'd be willing to wait however long. It really doesn't make a difference. There are certain things that we will wait for. I see people waiting in lines for a lot of crazy things. Things that I think, it's not worth it to me. I'll wait in a line for something that I think's worth it to me. I'll wait in line in the heat. I'll wait in line in the rain, snow. Makes no difference. If it's worth it. So if this is true for natural things, how much more is it true for spiritual things? So this message is for God's people who want to work with God in an intimate way and are called to ultimate power with him and operating to shake the entire globe. You have to know that in order to get that kind of faith and power, he has to prove himself to you, because you cannot have the amount of faith that is needed to do what you're called to do. So do not get discouraged when he shows you all these things that he can do and then says, but that's not what I'm really after. The question should be, God, what are you actually after? What are your plans for my life? If he doesn't let something work, then that means he has something better. It doesn't mean he has something worse. It doesn't make any sense. Then if you think that you don't know God, you need to get to know God. And he will show you these kind of things about himself. Another thing he'll do for creative people, this is a side note, he will actually show you this through creativity. He will have you create something you think is the best thing ever, and he will actually sit with you and create with you. And you will be, oh my gosh, this is definitely God. This isn't on my own. I didn't do this on my own, even though I'm very creative. This is beyond anything. And then he will actually partner that with a situation that is outside of yourself. And that creative thing will be prepared before something happens outside in the world that you didn't even know was coming. But then he'll say, no, I'm going to give it to them. They're going to take it and they're going to do it without you. Now, this is another big test. What do you do in that situation? You know God has created something through you. This isn't your thing, this is God's thing. And then he gives it away. You could crumble, most people would. This is also why many people don't reach the next level with God of creativity and powerful, powerful things that touch the entire world and have Satan's children bowing down. It's because you have to go through this training. It's very important. But this next era is coming, and many, many people, especially in the upcoming generations, will definitely be a part of this, and they will be doing this. This is why I'm doing this message, because he told me to, because the people are going to need it. You are going to need this. I couldn't believe when he wanted me to talk about this, because rarely do I even find, I've never even seen or heard of anybody who needs this kind of training. But he said there's a lot of people who are going to need it, because this is the new era. He's going to be wiping away all this other stuff. So when this happens, you need to take it as a sample. God gives his work as samples to other people to show you how powerful your ingredients are that he's given you. But he also takes himself and gives a sample to you so you can taste it to see how awesome he is. It's not so you can just run away with that sample and say, this is it. Can you imagine going to get a sample of this amazing dish and then not getting the dish and taking the sample and going home? It wouldn't make any sense. Nobody does that. No, you get a sample and you go get the entire thing. You go get the real thing and bring it back with you. You take it and enjoy the entire thing. This is what this process is. So he will do this in many different areas. You have to understand this. If you understand this, the process will be a lot easier for you. And you will be moving faster through this process because you already understand it. You don't have to go through all the emotions that go with that, because he really doesn't want you to. He wants you to trust him. He wants to bring you higher. And this is what it does. Brings you much, much higher to his level, which is beyond anything. Hail Jehovah.